Hello everyone, welcome to I Learning Digital class. My name is Steven. I want to use this medium to appreciate those who already subscribed to my YouTube channel. I'm so grateful for your like, for your comments, and for taking your time as well to share my video for your loved ones on your social media platforms. I'm so grateful for that. So a few days ago, we started a series on this channel, and the series is all about how you can create computer-based tests in JavaScript. So, and I've released 3 videos, and this is the 4th video now. So please, if you've not yet watched the previous video, it will be very difficult for you to follow along with this video. So I'm going to drop the link to the previous video to the description. So what you just have to do is that just go ahead and click on the link and watch the previous video for you to be able to understand what this project is all about. So without any further ado, let's get into today's business. So okay, last time what we try to do is that we try to create a function for our login. That is, once the user inputs his username, what are the response the user is going to get. So, but I quickly want to make a correction now. So there are some mistakes we make in my last video. So let me come here and try to check something if our JavaScript. Okay, so there is a mistake I made in the last video. So let me go into our browser and show you the mistake I made, and let me reload now. Let me reload and type Steven here. Okay, we are getting an error now first that add event listener is not a function. So let's go and sort that out in line 81. So we need to sort that out first for us to be able to see what is happening. Line 81. Okay, you see there is a error here, typographical error. This place should be capital E and this other one should be capital L. Okay, so let's save that. The error should make the error disappear. So let me reload this now. Okay, so let me input, the error is gone. Let me input a username here and click Steven. So as you can see, the first thing we notice is that we are not getting the username. We should get Steven here, not input and username. We should get the exact name of that user here because we are trying to save it, and we are not getting a response. The welcome message is not displaying. So what is happening is, and since we've already inside our login here, we've already said that okay, once the user login, we want to display a welcome message, but nothing is happening. We are not getting those welcome message. So now where the mistake comes from is here. Now this is where the mistake comes from. So I said this dot username is equals to, this should not be capital N but small letter n, because what happening is that I'm passing username here as a parameter. Rather, I'm passing username as a parameter here, so it should be that same username, because I'm trying to say this dot username, that is the exact username that the user passed here. That is the username I'm storing inside this place. Are you getting it now? So that's what I'm trying to do here. So let me save it now and let's see if we are going to get a response now. Let me save. Let's come back here and let me reload this here. Okay, so let me come here and say Steven start exam. As you can see, we are able to say welcome to this exam, Steven. So and here we get the calculator display. Here we get the next button to it display, as you can see now. So we get everything is working fine now. So welcome to this exam, Steven, and here we have the username to be Steven. That is the exact name. So everything is working fine now. So and we have the submit button here, and we have the calculator here, so you can see the calculator should be working fine. 5 times 9 is equals to 45. So the calculator is working fine. So good. The next thing, okay, forget about this undefined in line 133. Let me see, line 133. Okay, because yeah, we should get undefined because we've not yet defined anything for this question here. So but let me remove this console here. So now let's go and define the function for our show question. So we have to write some codes here. So the first thing we want to do now is that the first thing is going to say that if index now, if index is equals to question quiz quiz.length. If index is equals to quiz.length, then we want to type return here. Okay, so we'll return it here. Okay, we'll return it. Then the next thing we have to do now is that we need to display the question now. That is the next thing we want to do now. We need to display the question. So, and how are we going to do that? For us to be able to do that, so we have to come down here and say that form container now, form container. So this is coming from our id. We're gonna say from container. Okay, sorry, not from container. We need to say form dot inner html, then we'll set it is equals to nothing. Okay, so let's proceed now. So the next thing we need to do is that we need to come down here and say that var quiz item, variable quiz item, okay, variable quiz item is equals to all quiz, all questions index. Okay, so this should be array all question index. That is, we need to display the question with each number. That is, we want to display one question per page. So that is what we want to display. So that's what I'm trying to do here. It should be one question per page. So we have to come here and say variable question. Let's use q for question. Let's use q for question is equals to, we're gonna say it's equals to documents dot create element. Now we want to create elements. That is where to display our question. Create elements. What is the element we want to create? This is how you can create elements. This is how you can create HTML elements in your JavaScript. So you use so we want to display the question in H2, that is H2. We are creating this is an HTML element. Are you getting it now? So we want to display each of these questions in H2 now. Are you getting it now? That is in H2. We want to set this question here. So that's why we need to create this element here. So now let's proceed. Now we need to come here again and give say variable text. Okay, variable text is equals to documents dot create text node dot create, okay, dot create text node, okay, dot create text node. Then what is the text we want to create? That is a quiz. We're not say quiz item dot question. So we are trying to display each question per each page. That is, we don't want to display all the question at once. We want to display one question each questions. So having done that, so then we need to come down here and so what's the next thing we have to do? We're gonna say variable store answer. That is, we need to store our answer. Store answers. Okay, store answers is equals to actual player. Okay, actual player dot stored answer dot store answers. Okay, dot store answers. So okay, now next thing we want to do again is that we want to come here and say variable store answer this time. So we don't need to add s at the back of the answers. So we say store answer. Okay, it's equals to store answers dot index. Okay, not index. So let's just pass index at the back here like this, index. Okay, that's all we need to do here. Okay, so the next thing we want to do now is that we want to append the child. We want to say quiz dot append child. Okay, quiz dot append child text. So we are trying to display the question. So that's all we are trying to do here. So let's come down here and say form as well. Form dot append child then quiz. Okay, so let's proceed now. So the next thing we want to do now is that we want to display each of the choices now relating to each of the questions. So we want to display each of the choices. As again, let me go back to where we've done that here. We see this choice here is meant for this question here. This choice here is meant for this question here. So we want to display each of these choices that is meant for each questions. Okay. Okay, let's continue now. So how are we going to do that? We're gonna say choices. We're gonna say choices now. We're gonna say choices is equals to all questions. Okay, all questions. Then we pass index here. Index. We need to pass index here. Dot choices. Dot choices now. Okay. Dot choices. So we are trying to display each questions each of these choices related to each question. So we have to get the questions out now by looping it. We need to loop it now. Use the for loop. I'm gonna say variable is equals to I now. Variable is equals to I. Variable is equals to I. Yes. Variable I rather. Sorry, variable I is equals to 0. Variable I is equals to 0. Then we're gonna say if I now I is if I is less than choices dot length, okay, choices dot length, then we need to we need to increase I now. I'll say I plus plus, okay. So let's add this here. Then what is next we want to do now? We need to create an element now. We need to create a div element. We're gonna say div is equals to documents dot. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to to create each choices now that is met for each question. Create elements, okay. What's the elements you want to create? The elements you want to create is div, okay. I want to create div. Then how do we want the choice to display? We want to display the choice. We want we need to add the radio button to it. So how are we going to do that? We're going to say div now dot class list, okay, dot class list. So dot add radio, so we want it to be what I'm trying to do is that anytime the choices, the options now is displayed, we want to have a radio button for each of those choices that will be displayed. So that's what I'm trying to do, and now I'm trying to add a radio button to each of these choices that will be displayed here. So now let's continue now. The next thing we have to do now is that we have to come down here again. We're gonna say variable inputs now. Variable inputs is equals to documents. We're gonna say documents dot create elements. So what elements you want to create? The element you want to create is inputs. You need to create inputs now, okay. So then the next thing we have to do now, we're gonna say inputs. We want to set attributes. Inputs dot set attributes. Okay. We dot set attributes. Then we want to give it an ID. So we want to give ID to each of these inputs, and the ID we want to give it is, let's put I here, okay. Then we'll come here, close this. What kind of input type we want to create? The kind of input type we need to create is this a radio button now. We're gonna say set attributes. Okay, what's the type now? The type of the attributes is radio button. So let's come here and say radio. The radio button now, okay. So now the next thing again we want to do now is that we want to say inputs dot set question, so set attributes. Then what's attribute? The name we want to give each of these inputs is question, okay. So let's come here and say that's question, okay. So that's the name of the inputs. So having done that, so we have to come down here and say if I is equals to quiz item. If I is equals to quiz item dot correct answer now. So dot correct answer, that is if the user chooses a correct answer. So we want to set the value to 1. So if the user chooses a correct answer, so we're going to say inputs dot set attribute now. Dot set attributes, then we want to set the value now. The value of that input, we want to set it to 1. Okay, set it to 1. Okay, that, but else if the user chooses a wrong answer, we will need to set the value to 0. So with s, so we need to set we're gonna say inputs, okay, inputs dot set attributes, okay, input dot set attributes. Then what is the value now? We want to set the value to 0. So that is if the user has not, if the user chooses a wrong answer, we want to set the value to 0. But if he chooses the correct answer, we want to set it to 1. So this will enable us to increase the number of discourse the user have. So if, for example, the user chooses the correct answer, we have 1 as the value. So if this will be able to help us to increase the number. So if, for example, the first question the user chooses the correct answer, the second question the user chooses a correct answer, that is 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. But if the first one it chooses a correct answer and the second one it chooses a wrong answer, that would be 1 plus 0, which is still going to give us 1. So I think you get what I'm trying to do here now. So that is what I'm trying to do here. So having done this, we want to okay, we need to say that if question has answered already, then we need to give a condition here if the question has been answered already. So let's come down here. Okay, we're gonna say if store, okay, if stored answer, if stored answer, now this time around, if stored answer, we're gonna say variable id. Okay, variable id is equals to store, okay, equals to store answer dot id, store answer dot id. Okay, so if the answer, if the question has been answered, we want to save that answer now inside our local storage now. So we're gonna say if, again we have to say if I is equals to, if okay, I think, okay, yeah, if I is equals to id now, if I is equals to id, so we need to say inputs, okay, input dot set attributes, input dot set attributes. Then we need to check if the answer has been answered, if the user has answered the question. So we want to make sure that the radio button is being checked. So that's what I'm trying to do here now. So we want to make sure that the radio button is being checked. So checked, then we have checked here as well. That's the name of the attribute. So the name of the attribute is checked. Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Have we done that now? So the next thing we need to do now is that okay, the next thing we need to do here is we need to display, we need to, okay, so the next, I'm trying to see if everything we've done well is correct. If everything is done well is correct. Okay, so let's proceed now. Let's proceed. So we say we input, that is if the question is being answered, we say checked, and we'll set the attribute to check. So let's continue. We have to come out here, okay, and say that inputs. So we want to once the input is being clicked, that is once the radio button is clicked, we want to store the answer now. So we're gonna say inputs dot add event listener now. So input dot add event listener. Okay, so what is the event we want to listen to? The event we want to listen to is clicked. Okay, click, then we store the answer now. We're gonna have a store answer. So we want to save the answer into our local storage. Once if the user click any of the radio button as his answer, so we want to store the answer in our local storage. So let's go, just quickly come down here and say var label. That is, we want to give label to each of those radio button. Var label. Okay, let's say var label 1. Okay, var label 1 is equals to documents dot create elements, document dot create elements. Then we have then we have label here. Then what is the, we want to set an attribute for that label now. We're gonna say label, okay, dot set attributes. Okay, label dot set attributes. Then what's the attribute we want to set? We want to give it a class. Now we want to give it a class. So, and what's the name of the class you want to give? We want to give it a radio label, so that we'll be able to the CSS we have already defined a CSS for every of these radio buttons. So the class for this radio button now is radio label now. So that is the name of the class. So this is this class I'm going to I've already given this class. I've already give CSS now, you know, to this radio label here. So what I'm just trying to do now is that I'm trying to add this class that I've already defined here as inside my CSS. I'm trying to add it to this label. So what this label is all about is that I want to make sure that each of these radio button has its own label. And what's that label? The label is the choices, that is the options. Do you get it now? So the label is the options. So now let's proceed now. So we want to say come down here again and say label now. Label dot set attribute now. Label dot set attributes. Okay, label dot set attribute. Then we'll come here. So we put what's the attribute ones for? Okay, puts for here. That is I. So that is the attributes we need to set here. So then we'll come here, we'll come down here, we're gonna say variable choice now, this time around. Variable choice is equals to variable choice equals to documents dot create text node now. Okay, document dot create text node. Then for the choices now we have choices here. Okay, so then we have I here. So that's all we need to do here. So the next thing again, we want to say label now. We want to append the child. We're gonna say label, okay, dot append child. So that is choice now. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to display as I've explained the other time, that is that the label is just the choices now, I mean the options. So we want to give each of those radio buttons we created the other time, we want to give them labels now. So we have choice here. Okay, so the next thing again we want to do here again is that we're gonna say div dot append child again now. So we give it inputs. Okay, we give it inputs here. So now let's come down here again. We're gonna say div now append this dot append child. Then we have label. Okay, so we have label. The next thing again we want to do is that we're going to say form dot append child now, append child, then div. Okay guys, so this is all what we need to do. Okay, this is all we need to do to display our choice, to display our questions. Now let me save now. Let's see if this is working and if you're not getting any error. So this is all what we need to do. So let me save. Let's go back into our browser now. So let me reload this. Okay, so let's put Steven as my username, start exam. Okay, so I have welcome to this exam, Steven. So the first error we are getting is form is not defined. So that's why we are not getting any question here. Say form is not defined in 150. So let's go back and see 150. Okay, 150. Do we have anything? Have we gotten the ID for this form? Have we assigned any? Let me search there. Form. Okay, I'm trying to see. Oh, okay, we've not gotten the ID for the form here. So let me go into my index now. Let me see, because the ID should be form 1. Okay, yeah, we've not gotten the ID for this form here, because this is where we are going to be displaying our question. Are you getting it now? This is where we are going to be displaying our question. So I've not gotten the ID for this. So let's go back into our JavaScript and let's just quickly do that here. Let me just come down here and put comma here. We're gonna say form is equals to document dot query selector. So what is the ID we want to get? The ID we want to get is form 1. Okay, beautiful. So form 1, we shouldn't see that error again. And let me save now. So let's go back into our browser. Let me reload this. Okay, let me put username here, Steven, once again, and let me start exam. Okay, so now we got beautiful. We got our first question out. It's working now. So what was God's purpose in creating man? So let's go and see if this is our first question. So, but we are still getting an error here saying store answer is not defined. Don't worry, this is a function that we've not yet defined, so we'll soon define it. So it's fine, we are getting this error. So now, but let's go and check if this is our first question. Let's check if this is our first question. Let's go up. What was God's purpose in creating man? Good. That is our first question. So, but what is happening now is that the choices are not displaying. So, and I know why the choices are not displaying. It's because we've not yet defined the store function. The store answer here. This store answer here, we've not yet defined it. Once it's defined, we'll be able to get our options listed out here. We're able to get our options. So that is why we are getting that error. So let's quickly define the function for this store answer now. So let's quickly define the function for this store answer. Okay, so let's come here. Let me just copy this. Let me copy this here. paste this here. So and let's change this to store answer, okay. So now let's quickly write some functions here. So we're gonna say var elements is equals to, variable element is equals to e dot targets, okay, e dot targets. Then we say variable answer now, variable answer is equals to, then we have this called brackets here, it's equals to id. We're gonna say id, we have this to be elements dot id, okay, element dot id. Then we'll put a comma here. Then what's the value? Now the value is element dot value now, elements dot value, okay, element dot value. So then we now have to come down here. Okay, let me close. Okay, then we have to come down here. We're gonna say actual player now, actual player dot store answer, okay, dot store answers, okay. Then we have index here, so store answer, then we say it's equals to answer, okay. So let's see now, let's see if everything will be working fine. So let me reload once again now, and comment system. So let's start the exam. Okay, so we are still getting saying label is not defined in show question, that is in 180. Okay, let's go back, let's check 180, label is not defined. Okay, I think what we should be having here is label 1. Okay, let me see, should be label 1 here, should be label 1 here, this place should be label 1 as well. So append child, I think this place should be label 1 as well. So let me save again, let's see if the error will disappear now. Okay, so let me input a username here, say Steven. Beautiful, the error is gone. We get our options. So you see now, let me close the, so that we're able to see it very well. So beautiful, we get our options, we get the calculator here, and we get our options here, and we get, this is the first question. And if you go and check these choices here now, you will know that this choices is particularly made for this first question. So let me prove that to you. Let's move up here now. Okay, you can see now, to be master of all creation, that is the first choice. To help him look after the garden, let's see if it's correct with this. So you see, to be master of all creation, so this is how, now these are the radio buttons we created. Now as you can see, these are the radio buttons that were created. So if I press the next button, nothing will happen because we've not yet defined a functions for this next button. We've not yet defined a function for this next button. So guys, I'm going to stop here. So what we've been able to achieve today is that we've been able to define, we've been able to display our question, and we've been able to display our choice here. All our choices here, we've been able to display them, and we can now click any of our preferred choice. So in my next video, we are going to work on the next button. If I click the next button, we should be able to go to the next question. So, but I've not yet defined a function for this next button. So I'm going to define a function for the next button. I'm going to display, I'm going to define a function for the previous button as well. So this is where I'm going to stop today. So I believe you've learned one or two things today. So what have we been able to do so far? We've been able to display our question. Today we've been able to display our question, and this is where we've been able, this is the function for displaying our question, and this is the here inside the same function we've been able to display our choices as well. So here is the store answer. Now what we are trying to do is that we are trying to store each of the answer the user selects into our local storage. So that's what we are trying to do here. So guys, this is where I'm going to stop today. So if you have any question pertaining to what I've done today, so let me quickly say this. So here as well, this is how we can create elements. So we created all this radio button, we label all these choices here, all these choices you are seeing here, this radio button here, we created them inside our JavaScript here. So this is how to create elements in your JavaScript. I mean HTML elements, this is how you can create it in your JavaScript. So I'm going to stop here because I don't want this video to be too long, so that it will not you not get bored at the end of the day. So but I believe you've learned one or two things today. So if you have any question, as I said the other time, just drop your question into the comment section. I'm going to answer them. So please, if you've not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, for the sake that you've learned one or two things today, kindly hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit on the notification button so that anytime I upload a new video like this, you'll be the first person to get the notification. So thank you so much for taking your time to watch this tutorial. So see you in my next video. In my next video will be define function for the previous button and for the next button. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch. I'm still your host, still your friend, still your brother Steven. Thank you so much.